what up, Long Beach? Welcome back to another episode of LBST, where you smell that, it's football playoffs, baby, and we love it. As always, I am co-sports editor JJ Fiddler to my right.
Co-sports editor Mike Artavasio to my right.
Guy in a Long Beach hat, Tyler Hendrickson, and we got to thank our sponsors who are very Long Beach and very 2nd Street, Papalucci's on one end and Naples Rib Company on the other. Delicious, different types of food, but they will make you smile. And baby, it's playoffs. This is the time of the year that we love, is it not, gentlemen? This is what we live for.
Oh, this is absolutely what we live for, because every team has a chance to do something special, but only one team at the end of the day is going to be happy about it, and that's what playoffs are about, man. It's about trying to make something happen that maybe you've tried to for the whole year, like a team like Los Al, who felt like they were really on the brink of something special, or you're a team that's coming in as a low seed, under the radar. Everybody's got as much a chance as anybody else. And what's really cool is that we've been able to watch some of these players mature throughout the year, because not only have teams gotten better, but some of these players have gotten a lot better too in a very small amount of time.
Absolutely. I mean, you look at a guy like Josh Love, who was, splitting some time last year, and now he's, the leading passer in the Pac-5. He tied a Chris Lewis school record. I got the chance to write a story about him earlier in the year, and Poly's going to have what looks like the most successful offensive season in Moore League history, which is crazy, and could really challenge school records as far as scoring as they go along, depending on how many games they play into the postseason. So that's a really good story of a kid who really burst onto the scene. We have a pretty good quarterback in Josh Rosen in the area, but another Josh has been very fun to watch at Poly.
Well, certainly, I think none of us expected that anyone other than Josh Rosen would be atop those stat boxes, I guess, when we got to this point. Kid, I did a feature on Donald Gordon and Milliken, probably my favorite football feature that I did this year. Is a great story, because when I started doing the story about him, the story was, wow, this is the best kid we've seen in the league in a while that doesn't have an offer. And by the time I actually printed the feature, he already had his first offer, and now he's committed to go play at Colorado. So he goes from an unheralded guy who'd only played a couple games. I think we were really three of the only people that knew about him, to be completely honest, to now he's a Pac-12 committed athlete. And that I find that fun. We love sort of going on those journeys with those kids, seeing what it's like for them and their family as they're able to kind of grasp that golden ring, I guess.
And it's not only just this year. I mean, you look at a kid like Matt Locker, middle linebacker at Los Al, we just mentioned. He hurt himself last year in the second game, junior year, where he thought he was going to start racking up those offers that Mike was just talking about. Gets injured, has to rehab, comes back this year. He likes being under the radar. We've got a story on him coming out on Thursday before their game against Edison. Great games this weekend if you're playing for something. But also, think about this, man. There's a lot of high school kids out there who are going to be strapping up that helmet for the last time in their entire lives. And as somebody who did that once, as a PSA of sorts, man, make it worth its while. Do everything extra this week. If you think you're doing something not enough, do it twice as hard right now. Because right now is all you've got. You'll spend the rest of your life thinking about playing high school football. I guarantee it.
Are you telling me you've given up on the dream of making the NFL, JJ?
Just this last year, actually. I just didn't have the speed to break.
I've never heard you admit that it was your last time strapping up a helmet before. But now it's officially over for JJ.
we just talk about the playoffs and the really good teams and the teams playing for championships, but sometimes that does get lost in the high school sports, not just high school football. High school sports in and of itself, man. Enjoy it right now. It is a flash in the pan when you consider the full-time life. But, I mean, it's special, man. So enjoy that last weekend, even if you're trying to get your first win.
It's the last game of the year, Chris. You know what that means. The SGVL, all the cards on the table, all the marbles up for grabs. It's Dominguez, it's Downey, and they just really don't come any bigger than this, do they?
No, they do not, and we're going to see officially the Tri-Championship fall this Friday.
Now, some interesting teams. I mean, Dominguez has been dominant, so much this year. Downey has had some ups and downs, but they're kind of cruising right now. We saw them shut out Paramount, an impressive defensive performance. Their offense didn't look quite as smooth, but with that defense, I mean, they look like they're peaking at the right time, but they're going to have a big test going up against that Dominguez rushing attack.
Absolutely. I'm calling this the running back bowl, just for all the great running backs that they have in this game. And yes, the Dominguez running backs are great. Josh Ford, Keith Harrison, and then Henry Williams. Hopefully they get him back that week to go against Justin Huff and Day-Day Vigilant. But yes, that defense for Downey, that's got to be their main thing. I mean, they're going to run it down their throats. That's you know what they're going to do, but it's up to them to see if they can actually stop that.
Well, and one thing we saw, JJ covered the Dominguez Gar game, and Dominguez definitely gave up some points to that Gladiator offense, and we know that Gar can score. But also another thing we know is that Dominguez's defense can make plays. Some pick sixes, they're able to force some turnovers. And that could be a thing that could really swing this game. With the running backs that you've got, if you've got good field position, you could very quickly, have a 2-play drive, just hand it to your running backs and keep it very simple in the red zone. Do you see that turnovers could really swing the momentum, especially with Downey being at home? They really need to thrive off of that home crowd, which will be very good. And that could really help them out against a Dominguez team that is, I would say, looked consistently better so far this season.
Absolutely, and they made big plays. The defense last week against Paramount, they came up with some big turnovers, but the big thing for them was all those penalties. They had great field position, but they kept squandering, and they should have come away with a lot more points. They really sunk their offense right there. So you got to hope that, Jack Williams and his crew is going to say, I don't know why we were so hyped up. Maybe it's because we hadn't beat Paramount in 3 years. That was their first win in a long time. Those seniors were really happy to get that. But you got to hope that maybe there was just a little bit of nerves going into that game, and now they're going to be more comfortable against the team they've beaten the last 3 years.
Do you think, because 23 points was enough to beat Paramount, do you think if Downey gets 23 points in this game that that's going to be enough to beat Dominguez, or do you feel like this is going to be much more of an offensive type of shootout with running backs making plays in both directions? Do you see more of a shootout, or do you think it's going to be kind of a possession game, defenses playing well, protect the ball, and pound that clock? How do you see the game playing out?
I think it'll be more defensive. I don't think Downey wants to get in a shootout with Dominguez because I think their offense is much better. They're rolling right now, and like you said, Downey's last week was a little bit start and go, stutter, and so I definitely think they want to make this a defensive, keep the ball, keep the clock moving, get those big plays when they need it. They don't want to get in a shootout with this Dominguez offense. They can go up and down the field.
Absolutely, I agree with you. I will say that Downey is more multi-dimensional. Dominguez has been better throwing the ball this year, but obviously they really excel and focus on running the ball, whereas Downey has been able to do more things in the passing game so far this year. But I think you're right. They definitely want to keep it pretty close. And I think Downey needs to get off to a good start because if they can get a lead, get the crowd really pumped up, and then force Dominguez to try to go outside themselves and try to play catch up a little bit, that could really change the game. And we saw that Gar was able to break through a little bit. Now, I don't want to put you on the spot here too much, but any prediction on how you think this game's going to go, or are you going to straddle the fence and say that you expect a tie?
I think it'll be a great game, and I think Dominguez is going to get that monkey off their back, that Viking monkey off their back, and they're gonna get a close win here. I will say that I think Justin Huff will be the X factor in this game. Because remember, he wasn't there last week with the precautionary sit-out, and he should be back this week. And he's a good ball player, man. So I think it's going to be a good one. I think it'll be close for most of the game, and then Dominguez closes it out with a defensive stop in the fourth quarter.
One thing we do know is that both of these teams will be a factor in those playoffs. They will definitely be teams to watch moving forward, making a playoff run. And you never know. The team that loses this game might end up going further in the playoffs. You just never know. But we will definitely have full coverage of the SGVL championship game, Twitter updates, article, video, photos, the whole thing. Bringing out the A-team for the big game in the SGVL at Downey High School. Be there. It's going to be a scene.
As Tom Hanks taught us, you got to protect yourself at all time in the burbs. And the Suburban League Championship is going to be decided at Excelsior as Norwalk takes on La Mirada, two teams who had very different seasons last year.
Absolutely, JJ, because La Mirada was the team that really struggled with injuries, did not live up to expectations, and now Norwalk really struggling with injuries. Will they live up to the expectations of defending their Suburban League Championship? Well, we will find out Friday, but the higher-ranked team are the Matadores at number 2 in that CIF division, and it's well-deserved because that offense is explosive, and they've really taken on a tough schedule in the non-league. Their only loss, being to Servite, that was the lopsided loss there,
right.
But they have steamrolled everybody in the burbs the same way that Norwalk did last year in many ways, until this rivalry matchup was the very close game that Norwalk had to survive.
Weren't we just as surprised last year when La Mirada made this a game as if we would be surprised this year if a beat-up, a little bit struggling Norwalk team makes it a game?
Only a little bit, because I think last year we knew La Mirada always had the talent. They always had, the D1 guys. They just needed to kind of put it together. I don't know what Norwalk's going to be able to put out on the field on Friday, and it's definitely a tough matchup because, La Mirada can really sling that ball, and, it's a different animal to try to defend that. And obviously when Norwalk went up against the crazy passing game of Josh Rosen and St. John Bosco, which everyone struggles against.
Right, obviously.
It was definitely quite tough. So I would be a little bit more surprised if it was that type of barn burner. But, you never count out that double wing. You know what I mean? You never count that out. But La Mirada definitely comes in as the favorite on the road just because of how they've played and their overall record.
Yeah, it's impossible to have that high-powered offense be high-powered if you don't have the ball. We saw Norwalk last week take a drive, what was it, like 8+ minutes to pretty much seal that game against Bellflower. Obviously, much more difficult to do that against the Matadores, but still got to do it. Moving forward in the Burbs, like you said, La Mirada kind of steamrolled. Does it say less for the rest of the league if Norwalk hangs with La Mirada?
No, I don't think it says less of the league. I think Norwalk is the type of team because of the fact that you mentioned that they can control the ball.
Right.
They're the type of team that can stay in a game that other things considered might not necessarily be able to. If La Mirada does steamroll and does something similar to what Norwalk did last year, that they go on and make a deep run, maybe make it to a CIF championship game, I think that would be the best thing for the Suburban League to say, hey, we had teams in the championship game back-to-back years, 2 different teams. This is a place where really good football is being played, and I think that would be better for the overall strength of the league. And Bellflower's on their way up along with several other teams in the Burbs.
Yeah, absolutely. Mayfair only gets stronger as the end of the year goes by. Can I also say, you'd be hard-pressed to find a game with 2 head coaches more entertaining and candid off the field. I love talking to Coach C and Machete.
Absolutely. Those are 2 of our favorite coaches, Mike Machete and Jesse Cenaceros. I mean, we love them, and they've got great programs going, so this is going to be a fun atmosphere. I'm sure La Mirada and Norwalk are going to turn out for this game and make it a lot of fun. Last game of the year. Can't hold anything back now, JJ.
That's right.
It's really going to be a clash of styles. 2 teams that really, really want that Suburban League title, and I'm excited to see the coverage.
That's it. That's all. There ain't no more. The final regular season edition of Long Beach Sports Talk for this football season that has been surprising at times and at other times exactly what you would have expected. Can almost guarantee you that we were going to have more of both as we get into these playoff brackets. Brackets are released Sunday, and you can almost feel like you're there through the coverage at the Press Telegram and GazetteSports.com.
Well, you can follow along Friday night before we even get to bracket day with everything that's happening. If somehow you've been living under a rock on Mars in a parallel dimension where there is no GazetteSports.com and you had not heard, let me be the first to inform you. Press Telegram website, the Gazette's website, we've got live running scoreboards with our commentary and the scores from every game around the city on Friday night, and obviously this is a week where there are some important games. So if you're at one of those games and you're not at your computer, you can follow us on Twitter at PT Gazette Sports, and we'll have the update scrolling there as well. So wherever you are, we've got you covered.
And let us know what you think about the game. I mean, put your name on it. This is for you guys. You guys talk to us, we'll talk back to you. That's one of the more fun parts of the end of the season because everybody wants to know what every game means. Like we said at the beginning of the show, even if you're not playing for a playoff spot, every game means something this Friday night. Thanks to everybody at the Press Telegram and GazetteSports.com for helping us with this show and everything Long Beach Sports. For Mike, for Tyler, for Vinny, for Chris, and for JJ.
I'll let it go because you said for Vinny.
And for everybody else in the city that we will see in the stands this weekend.
He needs to learn that.
Take care, y'all.
Peace.
Peace.
We're running out of time.